Hello.
Yes.
Ivan says he's joined, but I cannot hear him.
Nope.
Ah, rats.
That's because he's busy jerking off.
No, he's busy trying to join the chat.
Oh. I thought he was having sex with Jerome Bender. That's an image that will get in Ivan's mind if he heard me.
All right. Well, I can't hear Ivan.
Hey, Ivan, that's what he needed a VCR for, by the way.
Oh, for naughty tapes?
Mm.
Well, this was the late 90s, before the DVDs and before streaming internets. And yeah, the internet was very young back then. Ivan,
back when AOL discs weren't coasters.
Yeah, Ivan, if you can hear me, just back out and rejoin.
Yeah, back out for Jerome,
okay,
baby.
He's all right. He's back. He's out.
He's gone before I got a chance to say it. Damn it! He left on his own accord.
Oh, he back.
There he is.
Hello.
Hey!
Yes. I made it.
You made it. Welcome.
Yeah.
You were just finishing up with Jerome C. Bender. I know you.
What? What? Why you come at me like that? Why? That wasn't nice, man. I just got here. You starting shit with me. Look at you.
Yeah.
Fucking guy.
Fine. You're just fine. You're really just, eating his French fries. I understand.
Oh, that was Primo joke on that dude.
That's the real reason why. That's the real reason why Jerome wanted a VCR. So basically, when Jerome felt like he could whip out porn and jerk off in the middle of the studio, probably.
He was a weird bird, man. My name is Jerome Harper. Why is it Jerome Harper? Because I play the harp, harp.
Yeah, his sense of humor was extremely dry.
And we got any more dry.
His sense of personality was extremely dry.
Probably.
What are you talking about?
At least you didn't walk in on him having relations with a hanger-on for the studio. I walked it on Jonathan Reese and Tony.
Yeah.
God rest her soul, but
God rest her soul.
she got around.
Jonathan Reese. God.
I remember this is a true story. Tony, you knew this was going to happen. So the thing about it was that it was Robert Pankton and I, and we were in BBX, and Tony just decided, well, Pankton needed to look at something. So Pankton's in Studio A. Pankton's in Studio B, the smaller of the studios.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She goes into Studio A, where the board is and everything, with that glass that kind of you can see from one another in the other studio. Yeah, she decides to pull the old top up and everything, gives him the whole top end.
Okay.
And Robert comes up to me later and goes, Ivan, is she okay? I'm like, why? He goes, she just showed me her tits. I'm like, yeah, welcome to Tony.
And welcome, everyone, to episode 131 of Squares Roundtable Podcast. I'm Mike, and with me is Ivan.
Hey, everybody, how's it going? And we got Jeff.
Hello.
Oh, I love that dude.
Which one? That dude? Well,
yeah,
which one are you referring to?
Well, no, I mean, I dig you, but,
Oh,
Jeff.
Ivan, baby, you
Jeff, I don't
bitch.
get to say it enough to Jeff, so I can give a little more to Jeff.
Oh, all right. So, how you doing, Ivan? What have you been up to?
What have I been up to? Well, let me see. Besides doing marathon VDJing on a spinning wheel.
Yeah, what was this? I'm sorry to interrupt, but you having technical difficulties, or did you have you said your phone ran out of data or something?
Yeah, what happened was that the last time that I was on, okay, and then I wanted to get back on, and it just kept going into these dots, like, well, okay, the dots are going someplace. I'm like frantically, well, not frantically, well, picture this, I'm just like, oh, no, I want to get back, No, wouldn't let me get on, wouldn't let me get back on. So I checked my data on my phone and everything, and lo and behold, I blew through 50 gigs. So it's just like, okay, all right. So
aren't you using your Wi-Fi?
No. I mean, everything is on my phone. I don't have a.
You don't have an internet plan for your apartment?
You don't have an internet plan for the apartment?
No, I mean my phone is a great hot box, and if I need to turn something else on, like my television or something, but being in the house, I think because it's got it, no? Or is that a separate thing?
That's separate.
Well, if you use Wi-Fi in the apartment, then you don't have to use all your gigs.
Did your cable provider give you a router?
Well, see, I don't have cable. I have antenna TV.
Okay.
So he doesn't have he doesn't have an internet access point. Okay.
So you just internet through your phone's data plan.
Right, there you go.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, I used to do that a while back, and then I used to basically blow through gigabytes after gigabytes after gigabytes, and I realized how much more costly it was than.
Remember, like 10 years ago when I got my first Apple phone, it was a 3GS, and I had to carefully navigate 2 gigs of data per month, and that was rough.
At one point my plan was like
only 2 gigs a month
in the mid hundreds, because I had bought enough gigs that I figured there's no way I'll run through this much gigs. And I still some months ended up paying for extra gigs. But in fairness, the smartest thing that ever happened was, it was funny because when we moved from the house to the condo, because the condo already had cable, it was worth it just to get the internet connection. It was like, dude, get yourself. Well, the problem is you have to get net connection, which is anyway.
So living in a condo, real quick before we get back to Ivan, living in a condo where you're living close to other people, you ever latch on to someone's unprotected Wi-Fi?
I have not done that yet.
No,
that is not the direction I thought you were going to go.
No,
I thought you were going to be like, so what's it like living in the middle of COVID in a condo?
No, because of data. Because like if you're low on data and you're looking for a Wi-Fi signal, and your neighbor 2 doors down is not very tech savvy, doesn't put a password on the router so you can log on and.
Yeah, but I've got Wi-Fi, so what's the big deal?
Okay.
I mean, I got Wi-Fi. I can be honest with you, I don't really. The only time I use my gigs now is like if I'm someplace where I can't get on somebody's Wi-Fi, or if my Wi-Fi's down, or if it seems to be shitty that day, then I'll switch to gigs. But I'll switch to LTE. Otherwise, it's something. It's funny you say. I think it's funny. I think everybody at least is smart enough, because Comcast, a lot of these companies are smart enough now, where it's like they even tell your grandma, it's like you have to have a password.
Yeah, you should password protect your router, so so nobody.
It's not like back in the day. It's not like back in the day where you could drive down the street and go, hey, let's see if I can find free Wi-Fi here at the moment.
Yeah. That's right. What all the bohemians would huddle at those Starbucks because of free Wi-Fi.
Yeah, and then Starbucks decided not to give free Wi-Fi.
Deal being in the coffee houses was to go ahead and latch onto the Wi-Fi that they couldn't afford.
Or McDonald's. So, McDonald's had free Wi-Fi.
Well,
they were one of the first ones.
Right, because McDonald's wanted to bring more people in and have more people sitting and drinking coffee and buying their shit. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But anyway, Ivan had VD over the weekend, or did VD or something, right? Or whatever.
VDJ.
Oh.
What?
VDJ. VDJ.
Okay, sounds like a venereal disease, but okay.
You crazy man, you. What were you going to say?
He's a video DJ? Is that what it is?
Video DJing,
Okay.
you know.
Right.
And it was just we were doing the 1980s, and I kind of got lost in it, man. So it's just
did you get lost in downtown Julie Brown? Because I believe everybody did at one point or another.
Well, I got lost in downtown Julie Brown or anything like that, but I mean, I did touch upon the MTV situation. I did touch upon I went in a lot of different directions in the Mundo's 80s session. That was it was a free for all. It was just so much fun because a lot of these records I haven't really turned on to in like years, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. And here it is. And we're talking about, a prime of my life there when, I was in my 20s in the 1980s, so the world was my oyster. So it's like, listening to these things again, it just like, it took me all the way back. And the fact that, again, just one of those situations that doesn't happen much or hasn't happened a lot lately, on the UK front, as far as like what they play in their music list and such, and as long as Jimmy Temple gives me a forum or, place I can do.
I would think British 80s is a little different than American 80s.
You're right. You're right. Because the British 80s music had a tendency to be very far forward thinking, very, sense, a lot of lines, a lot of creative, electronica, a lot of intense beats, computed by, microchip and everything that they had involved in it at that time. And it's, whereas American sensibilities tend to be a little bit more organic in that direction, I feel. Mm-hmm. So that, so that's why, the British tunes, I have to say, they got quite the appeal, like their bands and, but then they feel the same about our American, groups, and to them, when they hear some of our American groups, they're kind of like, wow, what is that? Same with their rhythm blues and their soul. It's kind of the whole same sensibility. It's like, for them, it's like, my gosh, just when they thought they heard everything, here, you got some American, some Yankee coming up saying, hey, I'm feeling good today. Want to share? Hey, check this out, and I'm only happy to do that. And if it makes people feel good, makes me feel good. And the fact that it's such a satisfying thing, I saw a thing on Facebook that said, what was your most satisfying thing in life? And, I kept coming back around to being with people I love, friends, family, and just celebrating the thing that's life.
Not bacon?
What is best in life, Ivan?
Not bacon?
No, that's.
Well, the best thing in life, are the ones that you share with the people you care about. That's the best thing in life, man. And the music brought me to that. So it's like, it's great. So they're happy. That's why it was like 1980s. Yeah, I took it to the rim. I didn't even realize I ran 7.5 hours. I didn't realize it. Everything was such a fluidity, and I just got kind of lost in the whole dreamscape. It was like, wow. Listening to Love and Rockets, listening to, in fact, I got some of the stuff right here. Yeah, everything, Terrence Trent D'Arby,
God.
Ultravox, XTC, Godbox, I even went into some of the early grunge stuff, and then, I kind of sauntered into the harder sensibilities, the beginnings of hip hop and thing, Roxanne, and, I'm your Pusher Man with Ice-T and, things of this nature, so I kind of.
Oh, you mean that guy from Law and Order?
Oh yeah, the guy from Law and Order, man, before he was.
Oh, I know, who was I was talking to somebody the other day where literally it's like, I think more people, we're at the point now where more people know him from Law and Order
than they do about his music.
Than they ever knew about his music.
You're right. Well,
he had a reality show too, right?
Right, and yeah, with the wife who's Ba-Boom. Hello.
Ba-boom.
Coco is out of her mind. My God. I mean, I've seen some of her books. Yeah. A gentleman doesn't kiss and tell. Anyway, all I know is, but it's just like Will Smith. Nobody's going to remember Will Smith for being, the Fresh Prince, with DJ Jazzy Jeff,
You think so?
Movies. Well, I think a lot of that, given another 10, 20 years, I think it might get to that. I mean, look what happened with the other identity we just mentioned. I mean, it's,
Well, but the whole second, Ivan, there's a little bit of a difference between the two, which is, Will Smith has still kind of, it's not been nearly as much, but at least even when he was doing kind of his hit, like his big Willie, big movie time frames, he was releasing music with it. Granted, Millennium is probably still the last big album, but there's some. The difference is Ice-T was never mainstream enough where his shit gets radio play.
Yeah, he was in there. He was in the mix, but he wasn't in the forefront.
Yeah. The most notable thing for Ice-T is, and we should go find this some point, Ivan, is when Charlton Heston is like reading Cop Killer like verbatim, word for word, like he's reading like a poetry slam. That's probably the most notable thing for Ice-T. All this music is literally, it's like Moses stood up and did his lyrics. It's like, I still remember, it's like, die, pig, die.
Yes, I am gonna find it. I have to find that now, even more now. And no, but what I'm saying is, Ice-T, as far as like what he did after he became, television and that whole thing, I don't think he lays heavy enough on his musical career anymore, where it's like getting so, but I think a lot of time has already passed between, Ice-T the rapper to Ice-T the, small screen, television person, star.
Was he in any movies? Did he do
Ice-T?
Was he in Straight Outta Compton? I'm thinking that's somebody else. If he had a bit role in that?
No, I don't think so.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I can't. Not with.
I think he's done some movies, but I don't think that's one of them.
They don't immediately jump into my memory. That just. Sorry.
Hold on.
So you've been just been spinning records this weekend, bud? Nothing else?
Yeah, man. Just a lot of record drop, and man. You joined me for a bit, didn't you?
A short while. I've just been. This is the weekend I had to work all weekend, so.
Oh shit!
And but I wasn't working. I was putting my Christmas away. So.
You didn't have to work too hard. That wasn't a drag, was it?
We'll get into that later.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so Ice-T.
Yeah.
Ice-T's been in a bunch of stuff. Most notably, there's a bunch of little. He's in Electric Boogaloo? Really?
Nice.
He's really in Break Into Electric Boogaloo? That's hysterical.
Oh, shit.
I didn't realize it goes back that far. Let's see. He was in something called. I'm just trying to find the ones that people would recognize names for.
Just name them off, man. We'll know.
Well, no, there's some of them here. It's like I don't even recognize the names. Yeah, it's like he got into a bunch of movies where he's here, but it's not anything where everybody's like. Here's one. He's in. I guess here's an example of one that you might know. Like he's in one with Ed Lover and Dr. Dre, not Dr. Dre the rap guy, Dr. Dre like the DJ called Who's the Man. It was that really bad cop movie. if you saw the picture, Ivan, you totally remember what movie I'm talking about.
Sure, I would. I mean, it sounds familiar. It does sound familiar, but
He was in 3,000. He was in 3,000 Miles to Graceland. He was in Ricochet.
Okay.
Here's one that's hysterical, and I can't believe he was in it. And it's recent. That? He was in Ugly Dolls.
What?
He must have been one of the voices in Ugly Dolls. He was in Johnny Mnemonic back in '95.
Okay.
Let's see. And then probably the one thing that I was thinking about in terms of movies, but I wasn't sure if I could say it out loud. Like Ricochet's one I know he was in, but I wasn't positive. I was pretty sure he was in New Jack City back in '91.
That's what I was thinking.
And he was New Jack. That's yeah.
I think you're right, Jeff. I think you're right because when you said New Jack City, the picture of the black and white album cover popped in my head, and I just saw his name there for whatever reason. Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, most importantly, back in 2000, he was in Leprechaun in the Hood.
I'm sorry, Ice-T. No disrespect, man. No disrespect, but okay.
See, that's why I said there were a bunch of movies here, like I could tell you, but they're all that kind of movie where you're like just sitting there going,
he needs to make Rent.
Yeah, it was one of those it's a check. I'm taking it. I don't care. Yeah. I'm Ice-T. What are you gonna do? Go fuck yourself. I'm taking my money.
What does this do for my career? I want to go up, not down.
Yeah, forget my career. I just want checks.
And then Sam Jackson came along and took all those roles away from him, so he had to go to All Along.
Well, no, honestly, like some of these are like poor man Sam Jackson kind of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know.
Jeff, what have you been up to this week?
Hey, Jeff.
It's funny. I want to build on something Ivan said for a second before we do that. And I'm kind of curious because I want to hear from Mike on this too. Even though Mike will sit there and go, but Jeff, I know nothing about music. But Mike was around.
I know nothing about music.
But
Mike was...
No, but like, don't ever put yourself out there because you have surprised me, okay? You even taught me stuff, so come on.
Well, yeah, on Matthew Sweet's entire catalog. I mean, that's what he pretty much taught us all.
Matthew Sweet did a live stream about a week ago. Apparently he's got a new album coming out in about a month.
Okay.
He and Weird Al should do an album together.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you had to look back on the 80s as a decade.
It was.
Top 5. Yeah, thanks, Mike. Appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Your top, if you had to go through your top 5 of like the top of the top for music in the 80s, like who's the most iconic?
Michael Jackson and Madonna.
Yeah, that's on my list too.
Yeah, I'd have to probably throw in, I don't know, Lionel Richie.
Okay.
Journey.
Okay.
80s. Duran Duran, I guess. That seemed that they were
interesting.
They were pretty 80s.
Interesting.
My sisters loved Duran Duran.
Interesting. Ivan?
Okay.
I know 5's going to be rough, ain't it?
I know it, but I'll do my best here. Okay.
Mike's interesting because he went directions I wasn't going to think.
Yeah, I mean, he went with 2 of the ones I would have said.
Right. I think we're all kind of like, okay, Michael Jackson, Madonna are in the top 5.
Yeah, it's like the Mount Rushmore of the 80s in music.
Right. Yeah. Although I was surprised you didn't go to number 3 that I thought would be. But go ahead.
Okay, number 3, I would have to say. Oh my gosh, man. I would have to say. Okay, I would have to say Rick James.
Interesting.
Rick James? Wasn't he like 70s?
Yeah, no. He did some stuff in the 80s too.
Okay.
He did one called Sexual Love Affair. What's on reprise and knock you out. Yes, and let me see. I would have to say Tina Marie.
Who?
Okay.
Okay, and let's see. I would have to go with
This is not going where I imagined it would go.
Let's see. Let me see. 80s. I would have to say Petty.
Tom Petty, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. That is not how I expected either of you guys to go. I seriously, I expected, because 1 and 2
because I didn't mention Phil Collins.
You know, I'm not sure Phil Collins is in my top 5. I was working on that.
Yeah.
I'm working on that. So
Top 10.
You said 5.
I said 5, but we could go top 10 if we want to here in a minute.
I'm saying,
let me go 5 first. Let me go with my 5 first.
Okay.
Obviously, Michael Jackson and Madonna. Here's the name I was surprised neither of you said. Prince.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then it gets ugly because I'm trying to figure out. I guess Springsteen is number 4 for me, and then it gets ugly because I'm trying to figure out if it's Huey Lewis.
I almost said Huey Lewis, yeah,
or Phil Collins, and I'm not sure which direction I want to go.
Yeah, that was Huey Lewis. I was about to mention Huey Lewis, but I went with Duran Duran.
And I don't fault you for it. It was really funny because I was pretty much, I'll go Phil Collins over Huey Lewis, but not by much. I mean, Huey Lewis would probably be number 6 for me.
Yeah, Tina Marie, Lover Girl, Square Biz. I mean, the building blocks to what became hip hop after a while. And, then, those, I cannot pass up a good funky bottom, and Rick James does a good funky bottom,
Yeah, but a lot of stuff is 70s, isn't it? I mean, really is not. I mean, although it's funny, I mean, really, Springsteen is one fucking album in the 80s.
Yeah, just the Born in the USA, yeah.
But it's
but it was an 80s anthem. It became an 80s anthem.
I mean, that whole album is kind of like
Born to Run.
The 80s.
Yeah.
That was the 80s anthem. It's Born in the 80s.
That's why I was thinking Rio from Duran Duran.
There you go. Exactly.
Hungry Like the Wolf and all that.
Like I said, I was really shocked when both of you didn't say Prince at number 3 right off the bat.
Well, Prince wasn't
really
big for
surprised.
Prince wasn't big for me. Maybe just of course. So yeah.
Like I said, I was just surprised. That's all. I'm not making judgment. I was just surprised.
And the thing about with me and Prince, my relationship with Prince, started in the professional field, and then, as time went on, then it got personal, and it was like, okay. And
you had a relationship with Prince?
Well, musically. And then going into the situation
Whoa,
later.
whoa,
He never
whoa,
called
stop.
me.
Go, whoa. Roll that back. You worked with Prince at some point.
No. I never worked with Prince. What I was talking about was my musical relationship in relation to my record collection.
I know.
And what
Oh.
it
Well,
was.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. No, I never worked with Prince. I would have liked to have worked with Prince. That would have been really, really, that would have been fucking cool. But, yeah, I mean,
Well, you're talking about your relationship with Prince. I'm like, wait, what? Hold on. We've been missing a whole lot of shit here. Hold on a second.
Maybe I should have been so eloquent in my, my presentation of what I felt like saying. So.
Your musical
what's funny?
tastes.
Yeah. It's funny though. Now I have to look at another. It's funny now that we're having this conversation. I could honestly in my top 5 take out. I could honestly in my top 5 take out Huey Lewis and Phil Collins, and I could go an entirely other direction. Quite frankly, just because this person is an icon and still is to this day, which is Weird Al Yankovic.
Yeah, he had his breakout in the 80s, but
mean,
some would say on the heels of Michael Jackson and Madonna.
Right, but, I mean...
But he built himself, but Weird Al built himself up to that. I mean, all the way from his, accordion inside the broadcasting bathroom, with Mike Bologna, and, I mean, that's a huge creative spark. That's an inspiration that has no boundaries. He made it possible for people, artists to get to laugh at themselves in the fact that, yes, and some of these artists even think, yeah, well, until my my track gets, Yankovic, then I've not arrived. A lot of people feel that when Weird Al Yankovic does one of their songs in his
they
version,
feel like they made it. Yeah.
Unless you're Coolio.
Or Prince. Prince shot every one of those down.
Coolio was all mad about it, like, oh, okay. I remember seeing that. He was
those
all
two,
mad
they
about
mended fences eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
Over Gangsta's Paradise, yeah.
Wow, but it's funny now that here's what's interesting.
Yeah.
Is anyone gonna be ever able to fill that void?
What do you mean when Weird Al retires?
Yeah, I mean we've never seen like anybody really go into.
No, we've
that,
seen
that.
Well,
realm.
we have the splintering of parody artists on YouTube, but none of them really.
Nothing that actually is memorable just kind of comes at you with an immediate identity once you hear it. Yeah. You listen to Shavy Cream, you think of Dr. Demento, you listen to any one of the beautiful compositions of Weird Al Yankovic, and you're like, yeah.
But I mean, the other thing is too about Weird Al is there's an example of where MTV may have been as big a catalyst for Weird Al as it was for anybody.
Well,
to be able to do what he did, because they, honestly, as much as that "Eat It" song was all over the radio at times, the fact that there were Weird Al Yankovic music videos that were out there, and they were hilarious, and they were.
Well, he took the advice of Michael Jackson. He says you got a platform now that you can do anything to fill the four corners, Al. And Al ran with that. And he did just that. I mean, you look at any Weird Al Yankovic video shoot, any video he ever made, man.
It's not a straight parody or a shot-for-shot replication of the parody of the song he made.
Right. But, his attention to detail and the fact that he handled it in a way that was both aesthetically and professionally satisfying.
Yeah, and he's made it through, 40 years now, almost 40 years of his career, scandal-free.
Yeah. Wow.
Exactly.
There was that thing with the accordion.
Well, see, it was it's like Frank Zappa. Everybody thinks that Frank Zappa was this zoned out, up with all the pills and all the, drugs and everything. He never touched a thing in his life and created the body of work that everybody keeps referencing back.
Same as Alice Cooper. I think everybody thought Alice Cooper was some kind of satanic, crazy man, but he was well educated.
Right. So, and that's why, see, we can have these conversations now, and in the hopes that others who listen to us and feel, we can have those conversations. We can all be in this situation and we can dig whatever it is that we dig, and then we all just kind of share it along, it just, and it perpetuates it,
Wow.
But I mean, if you're really looking at it, just to finish this, cap it out, if you really look at it, there's just so many directions in the 80s that music goes.
We didn't touch upon the hair bands of the 80s.
Right, I mean...
Van Halen, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, I mean, Run DMC...
Like White Tiger, Y&T, Black and Blue, Zebra.
Right, and I mean, even rap at the time. I mean, we're talking...
rap.
We're talking about... Run DMC, the Sugar Hill Gang, LL Cool J.
Okay, just a second there, Jeff. You mentioned the magic word, Sugar Hill Gang. There was an article that I saw. I think it was either on Channel 2 or Channel 5, I'm not sure. But they did like a big thing about the 50 biggest rap records, in the world. And
ever?
Yes, ever.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
Yes. So they say, of the 50 biggest rap records in the world, Rapper's Delight is in the top 50 of all places. Can you believe it?
Of course. It should.
It should be.
Without it, it doesn't. Without that song, I don't know where hip hop, where rap and hip hop end up. I mean, that's the first big rap hip hop song to break out into regular mainstream. Although some people would sit there and say Blondie's rap at the end of that one song, where Rapture technically falls into that, but I don't feel like I ever want to give that credit.
No, I would agree with you on that, Jeff. No, I would not include the Blondie reference. No bruise on Blondie. I love Blondie.
Nor would I include the spoken word William Shatner albums.
Yeah, no. Out of curiosity, you have any idea if you remember what number one, what the
Strange Planet.
Intermix it with Charlton Heston reading Cop Killer.
Yeah.
So what? Out of curiosity, what were the top ones? Out of curiosity, do you remember?
Top ones of what?
Or no?
A rap?
On the rap thing, Ivan, or you just?
Well, so the whole rap reference came down to another record, Nina Cherry's Buffalo Stance, which started the whole scratching situation on the whole record.
I haven't heard that song in ages.
Yep. Nina Cherry's Buffalo Stance, and then that started the whole scratch thing down in the Bronx. That was like the first record everybody just started doing this technique on, and they were just like galvanized at the sound, and then it just spread like wildfire.
So what did they do? What did they name to the top of the list, or was it just the top 50 most influential?
It was geared towards the Sugar Hill Gang. It kind of told of the history, and of course how it was part of the empire built by Sylvia Robinson of Mickey and Sylvia, and the same girl that did Pillow Talk had a big hit with it in '71, and then created the studio. And then she made the Sugar Hill label, and she bought out the Chess Archive before she sold it again, and it got burnt up. But yeah, that's the girl. A lot of history there.
As long as we're on music for 2 seconds, I did see Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, whatever.
Ma Rainey's Black Bottom? Okay,
yeah.
What do you think?
There were sections that I was just kind of like, I got bored in places.
Okay.
I got bored in places. No question. The acting is really well done. I think I expected more than what I got in terms of story. And my understanding is, so here's the other thing. My understanding is that this is based on a play that ironically was done at Steppenwolf Theater here in Chicago.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they filmed it there too.
Did they film it there too? Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they did.
But Steppenwolf, so Steppenwolf was a theater that was put together by some Chicago artists that include Laurie Metcalf of Roseanne fame and Gary Sinise.
Lieutenant Dan.
Yeah, Gary Sinise is a big player with them too. Matter of fact, Gary Sinise and Laurie Metcalf often do can sometimes come back and do. I saw Gary Sinise there.
It's just Sinise. I don't think it's Sinise.
Oh, I never get that right. Gary Sinise doing Streetcar Named Desire there. But the reason I brought this up is, and I haven't looked up what the differences are, but they say that the play ending is different than the movie ending. And that they go a different direction from the movie. Again, I feel like it's like we don't get the music in these things. It's just kind of like the music's an afterthought. And I get it, but it's like...
You would have thought it'd been more instrumental in the movie had they pulled some of the scenes out a little with the music.
Yeah, or I mean, I guess that's the other thing. I get what it was, that it was in the moment, and we did get some insight to her outside of that. And I guess I was just looking for more of it being more historical than it was.
Okay, I see it. Yeah,
I think that's the other reason why I was like, I still don't understand why Chadwick Boseman's character does what he does at the end of the movie.
Well, okay, I can give you an explanation.
I just found it like, why? Weird. I mean, I don't want to ruin it. I don't want to ruin it because Mike hasn't seen it, or I don't know if he will or he won't.
It's on Netflix?
It's on Netflix.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Well, let's leave it right here, and then let's see how you feel about it on the next show. And then, is that cool?
Okay, I have homework.
Yeah, Mike's got homework. We're going to see if Mike... The problem is Mike's got homework for two reasons. Mike's got homework, he's got to watch that, and then Mike's got homework on Friday, but we'll talk about that later.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. So this is something that is unbeknownst to me, but I shall find out later.
Well, Mike's got... Well, guess what? I got homework on Friday, too.
Oh, okay.
And Ivan, unless you have Disney Plus, unless you have... see, Ivan doesn't have Disney Plus. I don't think he's got homework.
No.
If Ivan has Disney Plus, then Ivan's got homework. But anyway.
What else do you watch?
What else did I watch? I've been watching The Expanse off of Amazon, which originally started on Sci-Fi.
Yeah.
I'm about midway through season 3, and I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, I hear it's good.
You gotta get through the first couple episodes. They're a little shaky, but it really starts to pick up. And honestly, I tried watching Discovery. I tried watching Picard. I was looking for some sort of sci-fi show that was like a sci-fi show lately, and I gotta tell you, this is exactly hitting my wheelhouse. This is way better I'm sorry, this is better choice. This is way better than Discovery is out there in terms of what's available and what's out there. Or Picard or any... I mean, there's just nothing... I mean, honestly, this whets the sci-fi whistle that I've been looking for something that's current, that's out there.
Okay.
Cool. Cool.
And it's it's funny when they say The Expanse, they mean it, because at times the story gets expansive, if you understand what I mean. In terms of that, they're able to keep it simple, and yet they're able to show you big picture. The biggest star on this show, and he kind of is in and out now here once I get into season 3, season 4.
Okay.
Actually, I take it back. I think I might be in season 4. Now I think about it, is Thomas Jane, who probably the most well-known thing that he was he did a few of those Punisher movies, and he's done a few other movies. But he's kind of a I wouldn't say he's an A-list star, but he's certainly a name star, if you know what I mean. But he's not like the main character person. And there's this one other woman, I can't remember. I've seen her in other stuff before that they have that. She's been in a bunch of stuff, but it's a solid. I've enjoyed it. I think it's pretty good. It reminds me a little bit of. It's got a little bit of that Deep Space Nine feeling. It's got a little bit of that kind of feel at the same time.
Okay.
It's kind of got. It's not Stargate, but it's got a little bit of that feel to it. It's just a little easier to watch than I find when I'm watching Discovery, and I'm just kind of like, whatever. But that's me. I'm trying to think of anything else this week, because this week has been really kind of how do I say? This week's been kind of a strange week to begin with. This past week.
Did you do any public speaking?
Did I do any? No, I did. Well, no, I didn't. I did go to a couple of shows this week. I did go to a couple of storytelling shows, and I found out about something called the Storytelling Network that I'm going to look into, because apparently there's cash prizes that can be won.
Hey, cash money! Woo!
That's a possibility, but I got to start playing the game a little bit that way. But and I'm getting ready for a few events. I got a bunch of stuff I got to get ready for, like the World Championships are coming up, and I got to start getting my shit together for that. And it's going to start to get busy on the speaking side a little bit. I just got to start really kind of working on my craft a little bit in terms of, the weird part about storytelling is, you can't just sometimes just get up there and tell a story. You got to actually sit down and do a little bit of writing sometimes, and then you got to sit there and you got to look at it and change a couple things and edit stuff. You can't. Sometimes you can just get up there and talk.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, you really want it to sound like
you want to be sure it's paced correctly.
Yeah, or you want it to sound. You're sitting there. You want it to sound. When you write it down, sometimes it helps to kind of sit there and look at it and go, okay, can I project this? Can I make this different? How can I do this? Rather than kind of telling it at the time. I mean, there have been a few times where it's like, I can build off of that, but, at good times. I do a lot of open mics on purpose, where I'll try out material and sometimes it doesn't sound spectacular because it's open mics and I'm just working material. But, which it's funny, certain people get annoyed by it. To me, I kind of find it fun as strategy because it's like, you guys don't get to see me at full price. You want to see me at full price, you pay full price. You want to see the real deal, you're going to have to pay full price for that. Which is not much to begin with anyway, but, so yeah, that's me. What about you, Mike? What you got going on? What you up to? What you doing?
Oh, I got Christmas put away, and the tree died. The Christmas tree, our artificial Christmas tree died, so I'll have to get a new one next year.
Oh.
How does the artificial tree die?
It's already dead. No, it's one of those pre-lit trees, and it can only get 1/3 of the lights lit. So the lights go out, burned out. They won't.
Christmas tree takes shit.
There's a light that won't light on one side, so I take it back to my workshop," said the Grinch. So it's in the trash. So I'll have to get a new tree, and I gotta find a tree that's not pre-lit. I prefer to put the lights on the tree. That way, if the lights go out, I could just buy new ones instead of have to. Because the pre-lit ones, they're all woven into the branches, so. Mm-hmm. If they go out, you're screwed.
Yep.
Put that away. Finished Cobra Kai Season 3. It was awesome. I loved it. Not going to post any spoilers because you two need to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going to be way behind on that.
If I got to watch Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, then you two need to watch one episode of Cobra Kai.
I'm getting there. Okay. That's on my list of stuff to watch. That's on it. It's just a matter of...
The 2-part... third season finale, knocked out of the park. Thought it was great.
Well, right. I saw something today, ironically, from one of the showrunners talking about the possibility of spin-offs and creating the Karate Kid universe.
Well, there is one. So, I mean, they've tied all 3 of the films, not the Jackie Chan reboot, but all 3 of the Karate Kid films. Not the one. I don't think they mentioned the one.
Is that
with
the one with
Jaden?
Is that the one with Will Smith's kid, Jaden?
That's Will Smith's kid and Jackie Chan. Now they're ignoring that one.
What about the next Karate Kid?
No, I don't think they've referenced that one because
isn't that Hilary Swank?
I don't know who was the young girl.
I thought that was Hilary.
Mr. Miyagi took in.
It's probably the other reason why. It's probably the other reason why. Yeah. We can't afford.
So now,
we can't afford Hilary Swank.
Yeah. So now Ralph Macchio is the same age as Pat Morita when he did the Karate Kid.
Is he really? Wow. Yeah, it's Hilary Swank.
But yeah, there's some great moments.
That's your answer.
Some great moments in season 3. It got a little corny here and there, but you just roll with it because it's just a good drama, good characters to follow, and do some flashbacks, which are interesting. They take interesting takes on the flashbacks of some of these characters, so it's really good. And I fell in because occasionally I'll find clips of King of the Hill on YouTube, and I found this show. We might have even talked about it here, but it's Tales from the Tour Bus from Mike Judge.
Yeah, you did mention that.
Yeah, season 1 deals with the rockabilly and country artists. They did a 2-parter on Waylon Jennings,
okay,
2-parter on George Jones and Tammy Wynette.
Okay.
The thing is, it's on Comcast, so I had to buy the season. I was like, meh, all right, but it's always worth it. It's 8 episodes, but one of them I think is free on Comcast. The Johnny Paycheck one is free. But they're only 30 minutes long. It's obviously a passion project because Mike Judge is like directed, produced, narrated it, wrote it, created it. So
this was his baby.
Yeah. And and Jerry Lee Lewis, it's only 30-minute episodes, so you're not going to get like a comprehensive history of these artists. Just little crazy stories that might have not have known.
Basically, just these wonderful little imaginary vignettes out of his.
And they're animated.
That's cool. Animation's always good.
Yeah. But they do throw in a few, still shots and some live performances and short bits. But it's friends and roadies and bandmates of these artists. And they also did one for Billy Joe Shaver.
My God! Wow.
And
you're talking about obscure. It's just like sitting his 5 strings.
That and the last episode of season 1, they did one on an artist named Blaze Foley, and that's about as obscure as you get for country, I think. But anyway, season 1 was great. I loved it. Season 2 deals more into the funk and soul, like George Clinton, Rick James, Prince, and
all right.
preludes to rap music.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I might partake in 1 or 2 episodes. I think a 2-parter on James Brown as well. So I might partake eventually. I don't know, not right away, but I really liked season 1 of this show. And
you know what? I have to invest in that, man. I have to find that some way.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, it's on demand on Comcast, but
okay.
That's how I was able to find it. You might be able to find some clips on YouTube if you do some searches, but.
I think I'll do the searches and see if I get lucky.
Yeah, but full episodes, you got to purchase them.
Oh, I'm sure.
But it was good. I was really happy about that. I watched that. It was really fun, fulfilling. And I have access to season 3 of Discovery. I've watched a couple more episodes. I'll get more into that later as I get further into season 3 of Discovery, but it's okay. It's, like Jeff says, it's, but this is apparently.
It's no Expanse!
Yeah, I know. The Expanse. Yeah, I know it's out there, so. But but that's been good. I really liked that show. And like I said, fun to see these little stories that nobody maybe ever heard of from these artists. One thing I didn't know that George Jones had like split personality disorder.
Really? No, I didn't know either.
Yeah, he is between. I'm not going to reveal too many of these crazy stories, but yeah, after he and Tammy divorced, he developed a split personality disorder.
Oh wow!
I'd rather not. I want to say more. I want to tell you, give the juicy on these some of these stories.
No. Let's be fair to our listeners.
Well, I mean, I know the show was out in 2017. I think the season 2 was in late 2018. But yeah, it's cool. It's good. Check it out.
Sounds like it. Yeah, I want to check it out.
But yeah, you mentioned there's the showrunners there, which are the 3. I think the 3 executive producers for Cobra Kai. And I know, like, William Zabka and Ralph Macchio, who played Danny and Johnny on the show, they're heavily involved in the show as well. But the guys who run it, they want to create some spin-offs. So I can see where maybe some of these people could go to. Maybe some of the younger talent, to keep the continuity alive. Because they're, like I said, it's part teen drama. It's part of the dynamic of the show is these teenagers. And the rivalries that are brewing between them.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So yeah, that's been good.
Have to take that in. Mm.
Yeah, it's on my list of I'm going to get to it. It's just a question of when is my sit down to time to go, like, okay, time to go check out Cobra Kai.
They're only 30 minutes, 35 minutes, so.
Right, but like I said, right now there's a few other things I want to check out too, like, now that we've got Netflix, it's funny.
He's got himself a schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I got news for you. Now that I have all these streaming services, it's like, okay, at some point I have to make money.
Yeah.
Or take a poop, or eat, or sleep. I mean, I could watch this shit all day.
Mm-hmm.
I can watch this stuff all day, especially now that we're all like stuck in the house all the time. It's like, it's really easy to watch it all day, so
I get it. I mean, it's just like me and the records. I mean, I couldn't turn nothing else on. I have enough tunes to last me the whole time that I've been in. I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, Ivan hasn't even gotten to his records from the 90s yet.
Okay. But I do have some.
Yeah. Okay.
I do.
Let me know when you bust out young MC, Go Bust a Move, or Tone Loc, Wild Thing. Let me know.
Or Funky Cold Medina. Both are quite valid.
I'll take some Funky Cold Medina, baby.
Oh, okay. So you want to go there now? Okay. All right.
So let's see.
Not really. I really don't. Tone Loc, I mean, the best thing about Tone Loc is that appearance.
You can't take it back. You can't take it back. Okay.
The truth is, the best thing of Tone Loc is that one appearance in the Bat in the Andrew Dice Clay movie where he's like, the guy drops on him and he's like, "You are 5 seconds from from seeing the rest of your life go in a flash," or some shit like that. I can't remember what it was. By the way, there is no question that it's a bad movie, but if you already accept that it is a bad movie, it is kind of fun to watch.
Okay.
It's that Ford Fairlane movie.
Without prejudice?
The only movie in my life I walked out on.
Yeah, I know. Mike walked out of it. I think it's...
I know.
After that movie, I don't understand why Wayne Newton has not been picked to play more bad guy roles. Seriously, he's phenomenal in that movie. He is just downright evil. He's like talking about at one point he gives this thing where he's like, "I don't care about these people. I even pissed in the punch bowl," and everybody starts spitting out everything from the punch bowl. He's just like awesome. I'm like, Wayne Newton needs to like play a bad guy in every movie. I don't know why he doesn't.
That's awesome.
It's Mike walked out of the movie. I enjoyed it for what it was. I mean, it is bad.
It's because it's Andrew Dice Clay. Come on, you knew what you were getting into.
Well, you know what the funny part is?
Clay.
But here's the thing. Here's the amazing part. For Andrew Dice Clay, the other people in this movie aren't exactly like nobodies.
Oh, I'm sure they probably like the in and out of that whole situation. It's the moment that's happening.
Like Ed O'Neill is in it. Wayne, as I mentioned, Wayne Newton is in it. Priscilla Presley. Trying to remember all the people in this freaking movie. Lauren Holly, who looks amazing in this thing, by the way. I can't remember who. I mean, I mentioned Tone Loc. You get the idea. I mean, it wasn't exactly like there wasn't some people who weren't stars. I mean, it's funny. When they tested it at the movie theater, honestly, half the reason it did badly is because it's Dice Clay.
There's people who are not going to like him no matter what.
Right, but Universal tested it with people, pre-tested it, and people loved the movie. So it's kind of weird. Like I said, the only thing he keeps talking about is he was in one of those summers where all that kind of stuff. Just I don't want to put this in the same category, but I always laugh because I'm still not convinced that Weird Al shouldn't have been a bigger star than he was doing TV or movies.
Well, I mean, I think the movie UHF didn't do much for his career.
No, it didn't because it came out the same weekend as Batman. So
is that what it was? I knew there was something like that.
It got overshadowed.
There were a few other movies too that were major blockbusters that summer, and it just got eaten up alive.
It was overlooked, but it's a cult classic now.
Yeah, you get to drink from the fire hose. Yeah.
That's how it feels like now with all this content that's coming.
Well, that's the one thing. That's the one thing that's going to be it's interesting about where we are now, and not just, and it's not just a TV thing. It's not just a TV thing. It's not just a movies thing. It's just across the board. We have never had as much content available as we do today. Period. End of story.
Right. It's a new world, folks.
I mean,
we're still waiting on a James Bond movie, but
right. But I mean, I don't even mean just like that. I mean, in terms of music, in terms of books, in terms of movies. You know, we were just talking. You asked me about storytelling. For God's sakes, video games, all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's really at that point where it's like, you know, like for example, I mean, there are certain we can sit there and talk about certain TV shows where we'll sit there and go, "Oh, we haven't watched it." Everybody's like, "How have you not watched that?" Well, there's a million other things that are out there right now that sometimes you don't get this. You know, you just don't get to.
It's the moment that happens now.
Right. Well, like it's funny. I have a buddy of mine who. It was funny because it's like, you know, everybody's like, well, how did you never watch West Wing in the first place? And he was like, oh, it's on the same time at the time when it was happening, and there weren't really all the technology there is now. Oh, it was on opposite of Discovery, so I was watching not Discovery. What was the other one? Voyager.
Oh yes, the famed UPN network.
Yes, it was on opposite Voyager, so he never was watching West Wing, which makes me laugh because I was like, "You chose Voyager over Star Trek." Yeah, not good Star Trek. It's kind of crappy.
It has its moments, but Voyager had some really bad ones too. But I mean, you look at even TOS. You look at the original series. I mean, it's a lot of those episodes are not watchable by today. Some of those episodes don't age well, especially the way the captain treats the lady officers, you know?
Yeah, the Deanna costumes do not age well.
Well, I like the blue suit she had, but I mean, like by season 7, she was wearing a Starfleet uniform. But I mean, yeah, some of those are just that's for ratings. Yeah.
You mean the part where she's like literally wearing like shorts, like Spanx?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
There's one scene where she opens the door and Riker's at her quarters, and she's in this white outfit, and you can see her nips.
Yeah, well, there's the whole blue bodysuit thing where it's like,
I like the blue dress.
Okay, I understand, but at some point, if she doesn't, if she breathes, we're going to see a lot here.
It's a little, that's for the cleavage, that's for ratings.
Oh, the erotic nerd vibes are alive.
Nerds.
Hey, man,
I was 16 in 1987 when Star Trek Next Generation premiered, so...
hey, there are still nerds to this day who are vibing over Linda Carter now.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right about that.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about. We forgot. I don't think we forgot or just we overlooked it. But the passing of Dawn Wells last week.
Oh yeah, the Gilligan's Island.
Yeah, she's the Ginger's the last one left. Tina Louise, right? Is that her name?
Yeah, Tina Louise.
Yeah, she's
okay.
Yeah, she's the last one left. The minnow's filling up again.
Wow.
I'm surprised we haven't seen some sort of reboot for Gilligan's Island.
Nah. Didn't they try? They try and brought back the series, but
they tried several reboots. They had several movies,
and they had an animated series too. I think.
Yes, and an animated series as well. Yeah.
I mean, I remember in the 80s at one point when they technically got off the island, then went back to the island and turned it into a hotel and kind of went to like
trying to make it like a Fantasy Island kind of thing.
Yeah, Fantasy Island Love Boat kind of thing.
Yeah.
Nah, not so much.
and then, of course, the obligatory Harlem Globetrotters.
Or the obligatory Charo appearance. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, of course.
So, Dawn Wells, because everybody I talk to, everybody picks Marianne over Ginger.
Yeah, pick Marianne over Ginger. Sorry. No, Ginger always struck me as the type of person, that you say hello to them and you're afraid to turn your back around for fear they're going to stick you with a knife. It's not...
But as long as we're talking about geek stuff like this, anybody catch that Lucy Lawless's absolute takedown of Kevin Sorbo this week?
No.
No,
I didn't.
So Kevin Sorbo is kind of in that Trumper QAnon world.
he is. His leanings he does lean right. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no. There's lean right, and then there's like Kevin Sorbo.
That's like flat.
Right. So Lucy Lawless just took him apart on Twitter for it this past week with everything that went on with the Capitol thing. Although we probably should have saved this for News of the Squared, but I mean, she just took. We're not just talking about take him down. I mean, just like.
Oh, that's what it was. That's the picture of somebody. Somebody drew a picture of Lucy Lawless or Xena, giving a huge punch, an uppercut to Hercules. That's what that's about. Okay.
Yep, that's exactly
what that was about. Okay.
There's all kinds of little gifs and stuff out there, like anything that anybody could find for like Xena's beating the shit out of Hercules is like all over Twitter right now. Yeah. It was funny because Linda Carter comes in and gives her props, and she's like, "I'm just following your lead." So
Lucy Lawless. Now I had a friend of mine when back in the 90s when Xena was on in tandem with Hercules. And I actually have a Hercules action figure because it's a joke from a Mystery Science Theater 3000 episode. But anyway, the thing is that you had the people who thought Xena was hot, and then there are people who thought Gabriella, the sidekick, was hot.
Yeah, and then there were the people who saw the episode.
And
then there were the people who saw the episode where the two of them start making out, and everybody's like, "What the?"
Yeah.
Hello.
Whoa.
I feel like it's just been long enough that I can spoiler that, but I'll never forget. I was watching that late at night. All of a sudden, it's like G-rated softcore porn. I'm like, what? I'm like, okay, well, this looks.
And this is the early '90s before we all had computers.
Well, it was like right at the end.
I'm glad they didn't have computers then, man. Some of the shit we would watch.
It was like right at the end of like the Xena run too, where they kind of finally were like, "Yep, we're gonna admit it."
Or was it some kind of like it wasn't because they didn't hook up at the end? I mean, maybe it might have been some.
No, there was some weird. It was some weird
possession
too.
Or some magic or some shit. Yeah,
I don't remember what exactly it was. I just remember that everybody talks about it.
Lucy Lawless fly through the air in her uniform. Xena. Oh man, well I was a sucker for the dark hair and the blue eyes. Okay, I admit it. Yes.
Well, I just laughed because her career's gone so much farther than his too.
Well, no, not
she
so
was
much.
she was important in Battlestar Galactica, and she's still doing
a
stuff
lot
today.
Of stuff.
Oh yeah, she's still doing lots of stuff.
A couple other things too.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay, don't beat me up. I'm just not in the know.
Lucy Lawless will beat you up, Ivan.
Yeah, Lucy Lawless do that for us.
Lucy Lawless beat me up. I mean, I got no problem with
that. I was gonna say, I might like that. We should.
As we dance to the masochistic tango.
Yeah, there are worse things in my life than getting beat up by Lucy Lawless.
Let me get the taste of your whips, dear.
So funny, we talked about this last week, and
that's what it is. That's what it was. She was in Ash Evil Dead on Stars with Bruce Campbell, which makes sense. And then she was an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a while.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Which I was not aware of.
Because nobody watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Wait. Oh, okay, so she's done an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm, and she did Veronica Mars and Burn Notice, apparently. So she's done quite a bit.
Okay. So I need to play catch up.
Speaking of playing catch up, we talked about this last week, where they thought maybe they're going to put some Mandalorian shit in the Galaxy's Edge to help revitalize it once we know the whole lockdown shit ends. But there's this article from Superhero Hype. Apparently, Mandalorian characters may be coming to Galaxy's Edge.
Yep.
Because they like money. And right
yes,
now,
they do.
Anything Mandalorian is money.
Mm-hmm.
So they've
big merge.
The Mandalorian has reinvigorated interest in the Star Wars franchise. And now some of these characters may be heading to the Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland and Walt Disney World. Via Collider, Jim Hill Media is reporting that the Mandalorian and characters like Boba Fett and Bo-Katan may soon be making appearances at Galaxy's Edge Black Spire Outpost. Collider suggests that these characters would interact and mingle with guests. Oh, you mean like they have like a little stage show?
Uh-huh.
Like Belle and Gaston, they do like a little musical number and then they go mingle with the kids.
No one fucks like Gaston. No one. Sorry.
Oh, don't get me started on that song, man. There's a day at Weef I would just want to forget, including that song there, man. The Gaston tune, you know the one I'm talking about.
So it's funny we mentioned that this week. So then the very next day. That's usually how it is here. We'll mention something and I don't know, and then it prophesizes or something.
That would probably be because I might have saw an article that day. That's probably.
Well, maybe that was it.
That was that might have been it. Trying to see if there's anything off the top of my head that we should.
Well, just we're still in, this is 2020. This is the 13th month of 2020. The Grammys have been postponed.
Yeah, I hate to say it. I think Ivan will agree with me when I say that's not really a loss.
No.
No.
And was it New York Toy Fair, which is usually in February, was pushed to May, but they canceled it all outright. So, I think they're still on for New York Toy Fair in October. We'll see about that. Depends on if we can get the vaccines out, maybe. Who knows? Another article on the Squares Roundtable Facebook page we mentioned here about the CW from comicbook.com. CW is not ordering Green Arrow and the Canaries to series.
Yeah, that's so it's interesting. So they've decided not to order that. They're ending Black Lightning and they're ending Supergirl. And
why is that? Just
they've had good runs.
They've had good runs. I mean, they've had solid runs.
Well, maybe Black Lightning might have gone maybe another season or two. Maybe, huh?
Yeah, and even Supergirl could have gone another season or two. But they, in fairness, Supergirl, ironically to me, I wonder how much the Supergirl thing is because they're going to do Superman and Lois too.
Yeah, they're going too much of the same archetype.
Well, and the other thing is, I give them credit. They did some things on that Supergirl show that I thought that they took a lot of hits for. Like, they had lesbian relationships. They had somebody who was a transsexual who played a role in the show. That kind of stuff happened in that show, and they did try to touch on current event themes within the show. So I think that those things touched the nerve with certain fans. And so I think that it kind of had a target on its back a little bit in some ways from certain people. And so it didn't make the numbers that, say, The Flash does. Which to the life of me, I don't understand how that show makes its numbers because honestly, it hasn't been good for a couple of years now. I mean, I like the characters, but it's not been good for a while. And
so do you think The Flash has just pretty much run its course? And
you, Ivan.
No, actually, ironically, I don't. I think that there's still some people that will continue to watch that show for some strange reason. And it's funny, I am watching it. I'm just, how would I put this? It's not must watch anymore.
Well, I'm Sorry, did I say something bad? I mean,
I don't know.
Run its course.
Oh, yeah, I didn't catch that.
God,
no,
you guys
I swear,
over your heads,
that was
both
not
of you.
planned. That was not planned.
Oh, that's okay. Just run with it.
Yeah, you know. Well, I was just catching up to speed on that.
Oh, God.
Well, you know, we're just kind of zooming along, and I missed it.
I finally got one.
I was just kind of, you know, well, let's run along now and get to the I don't know. I mean, so you've got a Superman and Lois show.
Yeah.
They're talking about spinning off one of the characters from Black Lightning who I like the character, but I don't see where there's a show there. That's just me. I don't know that Legends of Tomorrow is going to be around much longer, which, you know, I mean, I get that you got to change out some of these shows and refresh some of them for a while.
How many seasons is Legend of Tomorrow run to?
At least 5 or 6.
Yeah.
At least 5 or 6 at this point. But and that's the other thing that's kind of frustrating about that show is I feel like they're starting to create their own heroes within that show rather than, how can I say, bring in actual DC heroes, kind of. And I'm getting a little annoyed by it because it's like, here was an opportunity to have a team show. You could rotate in some other characters. I don't know why they're, you know, even more obscure characters. You could get away with certain people, but they're not. I don't know what's going to happen with the Batwoman show with everything that's going on.
Well, season 2 is on its way, and I think that might be it for that. No, we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see how this goes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm willing to watch the first episode and see where they're going to go with this, considering they're switching the entire main character out of the entire show and insisting that they're not going to do an entire full reboot or something. I'm curious to see how they're going to make this work.
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of like changing the rules in the middle of the game?
No.
I don't know. All I know is
it's doing something. They're doing a comic book character, but it's the person who's playing it is not based on any comic book.
Oh, so it's just like another case like Joker. They tried to do the one movie out of the circles of the usual characterizations of Joker. They did that one thing.
Yeah.
That's
a characterization.
That's a little different. I mean, basically, the actress who was playing the lead character decided that she wanted out, and there's reasons on both sides for that. I don't want to get into it, but they decided to go they decided to bring somebody in. They're not going to play that character. They're creating an entirely new character that has absolutely nothing to do with anything comic book continuity to Batwoman anywhere. Nope.
So they're just gonna like drop her in like a random seed.
I'm sure they've sat there to figure out a way how they're gonna write story to make this work, but how can I say? That's kind of, at this point, it's
anybody's guess.
Let me put it this way: they got they got maybe for me 2 episodes to be like, "Hey, show me how you're gonna make this work. This ought to be good. Go right ahead."
Yeah, but
we're gonna make this work because they're done, and I'm done.
Well, you know, it almost gives it a chop shop nature now that, you know, you put it in those terms. Like, you know, they need to impress upon me in the first episode or 2, or, you know, I'm not going to bother with it.
I got news for you. That my 1 or 2 episodes is more than a lot of people are giving it. Because there are some people who were already annoyed with it from last season with certain things that they did. Like one of the narrators in the show that plays like this radio talk kind of like a radio talk host caller,
like
kind
a talk
of thing.
Show host. Okay.
Yeah, a talk show host, kind of like an open air caller kind of thing. Well, the person that they have reading those acting as Vesper Fett, acting as this character is Rachel Maddow, and that they picked Rachel Maddow at all, like, took an entire audience and went, yeah, go fuck yourself, because Rachel Maddow does MSNBC and does political and, you know.
Oh, I see.
So there's some people that way. There's some people that didn't like how they characterized with Batwoman because, okay. I mean, there's some people who don't like the character simply because she's a lesbian.
Okay.
There's some people that don't like how they did the characterizations. There's some people who didn't like the person who played that character in the first place. There's certain, or how the show was being written. That the show already had some issues in those regards with people.
So it seems to me that, they got a hold of the written product, but the interpretation of that written product by the guy who wrote this thing, I think might have been avowed to everybody who was involved in it. They came up with their own conception of it and thus tried to replicate it within the framework of the filming or the series.
Like I said, there's enough moving parts on why people aren't liking certain things that it goes beyond that, and now you've changed leads, you've changed entire characters for the lead character, and
right.
Quite frankly, the lead character has nothing to do that we're aware of with anything having to do with the continuity of anything going on in the first season, and so there's a part of the reaction is okay.
Sounds like a jump the shark type of thing to me.
Well, honestly, there's some people whose reaction is, hey, maybe you should have canceled it.
Okay.
Maybe you should have canceled it after season 1. And that's that. And maybe later you could come back in and reboot the character later somewhere else.
Right. And put in some other series where it could have gotten some new life.
Well, and that's the other thing that I'm getting kind of frustratingly annoyed with CW is with the CW DC shows is, there's a lot of complaining about, on the actor side and the production side, there's a lot of complaining about these crossovers. And I get it. But what I've also noticed is there's really very, very little crossover between any of the actual shows other than the crossovers anymore. You rarely see any of these characters travel within their universe, if you understand what I mean.
Or their Earth, so to speak.
With their, well, not even Earth. It is one Earth at this point.
Oh, that's right. They unified it after Crisis, yeah.
Right, but you don't see a lot of these characters, flipping between some of these shows at all. And I'm not asking for all the time, but, it's one of those...
Once in a while would be nice.
Right, just something small where it's like, okay, just a reminder that they're all in the same place. And because that's what gives it a little bit of extra juice, in my opinion. And
right.
It seems like that's not really...
It's not happening.
That's not happening.
Happening enough?
As often as you like.
Well, and the other thing is, too, is it's like, okay, and this is the other thing, and this is what boggles my mind sometimes, is it's like, okay, there's world-altering events going to happen, and I'm just using this as an example. There's world-altering events that are about to happen in Arrow, okay? And none of the other CW heroes are coming to help? None.
You got
Not
the guy,
one.
Flash and Supergirl, who can travel cross-country in seconds.
Yeah.
Nope.
Well, and there have been a couple of Arrow endings where I'm like, really? Or like, for example, there have been a couple times where it's like, okay, like there have been a couple Flash endings where I'm like, really? You don't need any other help other than Team Flash. Really? Interesting. I don't think so, but okay. Okay. I mean, I understand at the end of the day.
Just due to budgeting or scheduling or whatnot.
Well, yeah, there's that. Exactly. But it's like, I don't know. It's like it loses its flair for all being in the same universe. And I get it. Some people don't watch every show. I get it. But here's a way to build viewership is if you had some more...
Even just have like a two-parter or something.
Well, and not even a two-parter. It's like, okay, maybe, and I'm just using it as an example. Okay, maybe Cisco shows up in Gotham for an episode. They do it once in a blue moon, but they don't do it very often. Like that kind of stuff. Or
maybe a little more often would be nice.
Right. I mean, I'm not saying do it every
episode.
I'm not saying do it every every episode, or you need to.
No, but just maybe every week, maybe every.
I don't even think it needs to be every couple of weeks, but just something that makes it seem like, hey, these shows are somewhat connected, and hey, you know what? Especially because if Flash is your number one show, here's a thought: maybe some Flash actors should show up in other places. Just a thought. Just a thought. Might help. Might boost it. Might pop a number for a minute, and maybe somebody goes, "Hey, I might stick around to watch this." But
no.
But you know, it's just kind of left to languish in a way.
Well, it's not that it's left to language. It's just, I mean, at some point it becomes a question of if you want to have these superhero shows and you want them, and I get it. So, see, some of this has to do with things like
maybe the Crisis wasn't as big as of a payoff as they thought. Maybe that's
I think the other thing is they want to get away from some of this. But even before Crisis, there was a lot of these times where it's like, other than the crossover, you didn't really see these characters go, I'll get together very often in any way, shape, or form. Now, I've seen some villains change directions and go to different shows, but for the most part,
never afforded to heroes.
Well, I mean, and it's like, oh, okay, that's a villain from that. Okay, this Flash villain just showed up in an Arrow or something like that. Okay, fine, but part of the fun is to have a little bit of that connected universe. The irony is you've got, and I hate to say it, in some ways we're our own worst enemies on this because you've got people who it's like, well, I don't like these shows. I only really want to watch this show. And I don't want to have to go figure out what was going on in the other show to go have to watch this. And part of it is the people who binge or watch it on Netflix and don't have access to certain things or all that kind of stuff. And it's like, or like, for example, I think Arrow's on TNT for right now, ironically enough.
But the other the CW have their own app or their own streaming service? That's
the other part right now, which is and that's the other part to me that's interesting about all this is that they're at a really weird, strange place with crossroads with this because, HBO Max is the answer to some of these questions. But CW still has some deals with Netflix. So some of those shows are starting to move their way over to HBO Max. And some of them are still over at Netflix at the moment.
Where's the Superman Lois show? Where's that going to?
I would assume that's going to CW.
Okay.
But I'm going to assume that if you want to watch it when it streams later on, like on a whatchamacallit, on a platform, it's going to be HBO Max. I would assume. At least that's the way it seems. I just wonder if some of this we're losing some of this because, now that HBO Max exists, they have to, look, they still want those shows on CW. But, I think that the shows where they're really going to be able to take it to the next level are all going to be on HBO Max. But, it is disappointing to see that, okay, they're not going to, but it's interesting because, like, the other place I was going to go with this is it looks like what they're doing with this future slate thing with the heroes is in the comics. I guess they're looking at taking that character and possibly doing a Wonder Woman type series with that character for CW, which would mean that you'd have a Bat family character, you'd have a Wonder Woman family character, and a Superman, all on CW, which are the big names versus Green Arrow and the Canaries.
And meanwhile,
we've done Arrow.
You've got the Pattinson Batman in the wings. Wonder Woman 3 has been greenlit. The Snyder cut of Justice League is coming. So DC's got some time to reorganize before Marvel gets their shit together.
Well, as long as we're talking about DC, so Scott Snyder has been writing this big, huge event called Metal. I think it's called Metal. I'll be honest, I haven't been reading it. I'm just kind of getting the basis of it. I'm getting kind of the synopsises because it's finished. The long and the short of it is that not only do we now have multiverses, we have multiverses of the multiverse to make omniverses. To which I'm kind of just sitting here. I'm like,
story expands.
It's like there's just a part of me where I'm like, I get why you're doing some of these things. At the same time, I don't know. It's really weird. It's like, I feel like the way DC creates these days in terms of moving their universe forward is to fuck with their universe and their multiverse. Okay, time to fuck with it again. What direction do we want to take this time? Do we want to make it smaller? Do we want to make it bigger? Do we want to make it even bigger? Do we want to make it smaller?
Okay. But yeah, but they're not.
Do we want to make one Earth? Do we want to make 52 Earths?
Are they not being sympathetic to their writers when they do all these changes, or is this just cattywampus? It just comes right out of the ass of somebody.
Well, it seems cattywampus at this point.
Well, I mean, look, I'll admit, I'm not a regular reader right now. I don't want to shit all over everything. But there's a part of me where it's like, in 85, when they did Crisis on Infinite Earths, the objective was to try to make everything simpler by making one streamlined history of DC Comics. And in doing so, certain things were knocked out of continuity versus things that were kept in continuity, to which certain people were not happy about. The other thing that people were not happy about in what happened in Crisis was certain characters died, which didn't, including Barry Allen, by the way, which certain people were not happy about, because really in reality, for about 30 plus years, Barry Allen wasn't in comics. Barry Allen wasn't even a character that was being used. He was dead. It's only been in the last, maybe now 20-something years that we've had Barry Allen back. Which I could go on another tangent, but I won't. But the long and short of it is, ever since that day, it's like, ever since they did that in 85, they've been trying to find ways to build out the multiverse again. And it just feels like every 10 years, and they do, and they admit it, that every 10 years they fuck with this shit.
Well, yeah, number ones and reboots and big reimaginations, that helps sell comics.
Right. Well, and so did crossovers.
Yeah. But there are ways to invigorate something. Put new juice in the situation. But isn't that something between the people who put out the comics against the people who write and or draw the comics? I mean, do they put their mind to it, or is this just like, oh, okay, well, every 10 years we are required to go ahead and just turn everything around just to freshen things up, just to keep it.
Well, so DC has been in a unique situation. In fairness, DC's been around longer than Marvel, and Marvel is only starting to have this problem now. But DC, one of the things that DC has had for a while is, okay, you have all these original characters, and then they had sidekicks. Well, at some point, the sidekicks got aged and grew up.
Right.
And so now it was time for the next generation of sidekicks.
Right.
And so, you had to do what was your plan with generation 1 of those sidekicks. You didn't really have one.
No.
Just like now that there's generation 3 of said sidekicks to build out those families, what are you doing with generation 2 of said sidekicks? Again, plans not very good. Okay. But there's a lot of people who like those characters. Like, for example, a lot of the people who were in Titans,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the kids who originally made up Teen Titans,
Right.
I don't know where, I'll be honest, I don't know where Donna Troy is lately. I know Wally West is totally fucked up now that Barry Allen's back. And that Roy Harper's been kind of a mess for a while.
Well, it's all about, I mean, that's what the reimaginings are, is that they need to create new stories and new takes on some of these beloved characters, and at the same time, although I don't know how many new characters getting introduced now, lately, in the DC universe. I mean, there's this new one that's in the Wonder Woman, continuity coming. But you still want to see, Dick Grayson and gang doing their fun stuff.
The only thing that's interesting is that at some point those heroes should have been their own heroes and been able to do their own things. And there's a lot of answers as to why that didn't happen, and none of them are good. And one of my biggest complaints about, the only one who's really been safe in some ways has been Dick Grayson, because he's Nightwing, and the Nightwing book has existed now for maybe 20, 30 years at least. Okay? And even then, I gotta be honest, as a fan of the character, that book got taken over by the Bat Editors book. The Bat Editors, which means it's just basically to them just another fucking Batman book.
Right.
In some ways. Because he's part of the Bat family. He's Dick Grayson. I get it. Once upon a time, though, Dick Grayson was in your number one book in the whole fucking company. He was in your number one book. That was the number one book, was Teen Titans.
Well, that was a while ago.
I understand that was a while ago.
The landscape was different back then.
Well, but here's the difference. What is the number one cartoon on Cartoon Network right now?
Teen Titans Go.
Which is who? Dick Grayson.
Dick Grayson.
Okay. The point I'm getting at is that character is still popular to this
But
day.
the same kids who are watching Teen Titans Go are not going to go, you're sure they're going to go out and buy a Nightwing comic book or a trade?
Well, that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
Will that translate?
Will a new Nightwing book?
That's a different conversation for a different direction, which is one of the reasons why kids aren't going out and buying a Nightwing book and a Nightwing comic, is because for the same amount of money that you can spend for a Nightwing comic, I can go buy a DVD of Young Justice and watch that instead.
No, they don't buy DVDs anymore. I think I'm the only one who buys DVDs now. They can pay to stream it.
Fine, stream it. You can stream it for the same amount. You can stream it for perfect example. For what you would pay for trade paperback, you could stream HBO Max for a month, okay, and get 3 seasons worth of Young Justice that has Dick Grayson as Nightwing.
Yeah.
So why would you? That's
well, then that's another. That's the whole digital versus paper conversation.
Well, it's beyond digital. It's beyond digital and paper. Yeah. It's just, and I get it. You got to pay artists and all these things, and I understand it. But at some point, even I'm kind of sitting there now, and I'm looking at where the prices are for books, and I'm like, this is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I got out of reading was,
too expensive.
There's a lot of content. Yep. You start buying a bunch of this content. Some of it turns out to be worthless. Some of it isn't. They hype up certain content that ends up not being what you think it needed to be, and then at the end of the day, it's expensive.
Yeah, that too. Yeah,
it's expensive. If you're reading.
Yeah, was it?
If you're reading 15 titles right now. If you're reading 15 titles, we're talking about what? We're talking about
$4 a book. So that's
4.
Comics are still $3.99, or they go up to $4.99.
$5.
Oh, jeez,
baby.
$5,
oh, no.
baby.
No. They're about
Plus
$5 now. That's
plus
you get 50. You get
$5 make you holla.
You're talking 15 books. 15 books now is like almost $75.
Shit.
Yeah, like.
And by the way, that's assuming that they're all not bigger issues or nicer paper. And hey, guess what? Some of them get to be to $8 or $9 a book or something like that.
Or sometimes you can get a deal on a trade.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
And you gotta watch out for the bootleggers.
Oh.
Well, that's what I hate to say it. That's where Amazon comes in, which is okay. And the other thing is, I hate to say it. I know where I'm at, which is I don't want to have the clutter in my house anymore.
Yeah,
I
think I'm done with buying paper books as well. I mean, I've got if I can get the app on my tablet, then I'll read it there and not have to.
Oh, and there is.
Yeah.
There is. I mean, DC Universe is still like $10 a month, and you can read. I think they're 6 months, 6 months to a year behind current continuity.
Yeah.
So really, in reality,
not pay. Then there you go.
And Marvel is the same way. Where the only difference with Marvel is, and Marvel's only starting to have this problem. Marvel's only starting to have this problem because you're only starting now to start having a second Thor, a second Spider-Man, another Hulk. I
think they're focusing now on She-Hulk too, right?
Well, not only that, but like when Hulk became Amadeus Choi, when Jane Foster was Thor,
and
Miles Morales was out there,
and Riri Wilson is Ironheart.
Right. Well, once upon a time, Riri Williams was Iron Man for a period of time. And by the way, that's where that big backlash came at one point at Marvel, was because at one point at the same time you had the following things going on. There was Jane Foster as Thor, Amadeus Cho as the Hulk. You had, I think Captain America was not Steve Rogers at the time.
Was it Bucky?
I think it may have even been somebody else. And I want to say it was somebody of color. And I can't remember all the details, but I don't want to say for sure.
Right. You've got all the main Avengers, the founding members of the Avengers, and none of them are the originals.
And I think at the time, Spider-Man's been taken over by Dr. Octopus at the time, where he's invaded his mind.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like, okay, none of the major characters have the main characters in their books.
Right.
All at the same time. And there was huge backlash. Some of it was political.
Yeah.
About I hate to say it, where are the white heroes?
Yeah, where are the white males? Right.
Right, and Riri Williams happened at the exact same time too for Iron Man. So, okay. That, especially because, MCU was hot. But okay, now I go to the books. Where are all these characters?
Right.
And all at the same time. So, yeah. But,
and the beat goes on.
Do we have any other? Do we have another? Make another points on this, Jeff, or you want to move on?
Well, I think the only thing was, so because of WandaVision that's coming out on Friday.
Yep.
We've got some people talking, including.
I beg your pardon, Jeff, but WandaVision. Please explain this to me. I'm sorry.
We'll get there in a second.
Okay.
We'll get there in a second, but I guess Kevin Feige's out there talking, and so he said that the third Deadpool movie, will be in continuity and will be R.
Yay!
That's
just as it should be.
That's going to be fascinating. I'm curious to see how that all works.
Yeah.
And my understanding is it's interesting because that's not been part of the that wasn't part of any of the conversations of the launch of what Phase 4 looks like, so I'm curious to see how it fits in.
Yeah, they haven't announced. They've got Phase 4 lined out when they had that big info dump a couple weeks ago.
And Deadpool was not one of the ones listed.
Well, they know they got to get it right, so they'll take the time and make a good enough story, one that Ryan Reynolds can sign on to.
Right, but the trick is, I'm curious to see where it fits into the MCU.
By then, we're going to have X-Men and Fantastic Four and more of the Fox characters as well. So
I got the impression they were further along on this Deadpool thing, though, than that. Believe it or not, I think they're closer to getting ready to put this thing into production than we think they are.
You know, they're starting to be able to start filming stuff. I mean, we know the Eternals is in the can, right? They finished filming the Eternals.
Right, that's in the can.
Still waiting on Black Widow. It's been a year.
Right. I mean, the irony is it'll be interesting because there's been talk that WandaVision spoils some things for Black Widow because it was supposed to be...
Now, WandaVision, obviously, Wanda Maximoff is Scarlet Witch, and Vision is obviously the character in the MCU. But early in the characters' histories, they became a couple.
Yes. Right, and so this goes into Ivan's question about what is this. So, yes. So, Scarlet Witch and Vision have been kind of romantically linked since the 80s. Yeah. And there's been all kinds of stories about things like... there's been all kinds of different stories about whether they had kids or not, or they had real family. Some of it has worked out well, some of it not so well.
No.
One of it turned into like a gigantic whole Marvel crossover event that's a major event that I'm not positive we're not headed there now. Which is...
So this series was gonna, based on that, because obviously Vision died in Infinity War, and
right,
Gesundheit. And so this will deal partly will tie into Doctor Strange 2 and the multiverse, multiverse of madness.
It looks like it's going to tie into Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
But the answer
might also tie into Captain Marvel 2 because Monica Rambeau will be in it.
Okay. But I don't... Basically, Ivan, it's the first Disney Plus show that is being aired from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Okay. And so it's kind of a bigger deal. I mean, as Mike mentioned, these are two characters that have been in the Avengers movies. So they are well enough known characters and well enough known actors that it's a big enough deal.
Okay.
To answer your question about what it's about, nobody's exactly sure.
Okay, so everyone else...
Well, the point is Mike's point is well taken, which is Vision's supposed to be dead.
Yeah.
But as we know, the multiverse can be all things to all people.
There's a few other... now we start getting into theories.
A few other theories?
Well, so... in the comics, Wanda is really powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful enough that she alters reality of the entire Marvel universe.
Uh-huh.
And that became an entire crossover event one summer that was really, really popular.
Ah.
And there was a lot of stuff to it, and I can't remember all the details. Like, literally stuff like that was, like, where she, like, basically, I feel like she placated just about everybody in the Marvel Universe. Like, I think there was something where it was like, Peter Parker, Uncle Ben didn't die. And what would it be like if Spider-Man existed where Uncle Ben existed? Kind of thing. and where he, life was good for Peter Parker, where it wasn't always Peter Parker getting kicked in the groin every 5 seconds. But there were other stories along those lines where there was stuff like that because she had altered reality. And at one point, what ends up happening is because in the comics, Scarlet Witch, which is Wanda, is Magneto's daughter, and she has some ties to the X-Men. So at one point, it kind of turns into, and even though she's been an Avenger for years, it is kind of one of those, how do I put this? The Avengers and the X-Men kind of are at odds against each other at one point on this whole thing. Okay. And so anytime in the Marvel Universe when you can kind of pit the X-Men against the Avengers, that sells books.
Right.
In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, though, as of now, the X-Men don't exist. And in continuity, the way it is, this Wanda has nothing to do with Magneto that I'm aware of. Unless they're about to do something really, really strange. But I don't know how they're going to make that work. But to answer your question, Ivan, yeah, there's a lot of people that are not sure how this is going to go. Because, everybody's this is part of the intrigue is, especially with the ads where it looks like it's a 50s sitcom and everybody's like, what is this about? What is this going on?
Okay, now, yeah. The collage that they used in the promotion, it just gave me different points as they were doing like a retro nostalgia type of thing. It had that kind of aesthetic about it, but it seemed a bit disjointed, so I really couldn't settle in as to what it was.
And it's supposed to be disjointed. There's a reason it's supposed to be disjointed is because something doesn't make sense.
Right.
And that's part of it. And the only other thing I can say is, because I saw some articles over the weekend, there's some similarities to a series that was written that is in trade paperback. It's not exactly like it, but Tom King did a Vision book that had some similarities about Vision living in the suburbs like that. And
so it was an underground favorite of sorts, and they just
not underground, not comic book fans. Tom King has since moved on to DC and is like writing Batman and shit like that. And he's like one of probably the best comic book writers on the planet right now. So
cool.
Matter of fact, Mike was reading some of Tom King's stuff like last summer, all that Batman stuff that was going on, especially with that and the Catwoman thing and all that stuff. That was Tom King.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, with the wedding, that was the leading up to the wedding of Batman and Selena Kyle.
Right. By the way, that book, I think that book is coming out, by the way, the Batman Catwoman thing I
followed it for a while after the leading up to the wedding. Yeah, I followed it for
I mean the continuation of that story I think is coming on I don't know if it's a one shot, if what it is, but the long and short of it is, and I don't mean to take up time because I know Mike can talk a little about that too, but yeah, the answer is we don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, we'll discuss it in length next week, so.
Yeah, look, that's going to be the question that's...
What kind of direction is this going to go in?
Yeah. Again, they're releasing 2 episodes. So they're going to release 2 episodes, so there's that. And, I'm trying to think. I don't know how
Friday night.
I don't know how long those episodes are, but my understanding is at one point, I guess the ones that look like sitcom stuff might be half hours for a bit, and then it starts to change up a little bit. But
interesting.
Yeah, well, like I said, I wish I could give you more answers, Ivan. Yeah, unfortunately,
no. What you gave me was fine. It gave me, I got.
There is a trailer out there. You could just do a search on YouTube for WandaVision trailer, and that'll give you the vibe for it.
Oh, I've seen trailer. That's why I was just like asking about it, because after I saw the trailer, I was like, huh? But thanks for straightening that out for me there, Jeff. I appreciate that.
No, that's fine. And that trailer's everywhere.
Yeah.
It was funny. They're playing the hell out of that trailer all over ABC on the network. I mean, I think I saw it during football at least like 6 times this weekend.
Yeah, they're hitting that hard.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I want to get those Disney Plus subscriptions for everybody
Well,
who
that's
canceled
what I
after
mean.
season 2 of The Mandalorian's over.
Right. Well, and in fairness, this is exactly what one of the reasons why I was like, I'm in no hurry to pick up The Mandalorian. Why? What else am I going to watch? What else do they have that's new? I mean, don't get me wrong, they have a lot of great movie content and all this stuff, but sometimes you're looking for something new.
Yeah, the new shows, they seem kind of unremarkable.
Well, the other thing is,
at least not to the point where they're going to pop, or it's going to pique my interest where I might want to go and try and watch it.
Well, and the other thing is, I hate, part of it is, their plan was that they thought they were going to be able to get some stuff going, and they started it late, and then COVID hit, and then they didn't have stuff.
And they had to suspend the filming.
Right. And so, yeah, I'm sure that hurt. Like, maybe if after season 1 of Mandalorian, they had WandaVision ready to go, or this Falcon and Bucky show that they've got that they're working on that supposedly is like almost pretty much ready to go too. And then you had the Mandalorian season 2, maybe things would have been different. Maybe people would have been like, okay, I'm going to stick around because there's this, I mean, that's the one thing I give HBO credit for when they, like on their regular HBO is like when, how do I put this? Like when The Sopranos ends, the next week is like True Detective or some shit like that.
Yeah, I saw a thing the other day, but The Sopranos premiered 22 years ago.
Yeah, I guess there's a prequel coming out.
Yeah, they talked about it for years, where even like Gandolfini's son is going to play.
Yeah, that's
Tony.
The thing. That's a thing, and that's happening. Yeah. And I think it's going to be an HBO Max movie. It's not going to be like you know what? I take it back. It's one of the movies that's going to be on HBO Max because of that deal. And by the way, that's the other thing. I guess it's not a done deal on Godzilla versus Kong or Dune to be part of that yet.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so.
Trying to think if there was anything else.
Just the rumor that RDJ might play Thrawn in season 3 of The Mandalorian. That's all I had. A lot of people saw like, no, it has to be Fassbender. It has to be like a slim kind of dude, or Cumberbatch or somebody. Who knows? But
I think the only other thing that I thought was interesting is, and I was curious to get Ivan's take on this, which is, so I guess Aaron Sorkin, they've announced that Aaron Sorkin is working on a movie with Nicole Kidman and what's his name? Javier Bardem, where it's going to be, or at least they're in talks, I guess, where Nicole Kidman would play a Lucille Ball, and Javier Bardem would play Desi Arnaz.
What, like a biography?
It sounds like that's what Sorkin's looking
biographical
to go do.
Miniseries. That could be good.
I don't know if it's a miniseries or no, it's a film. They're talking about
movie?
film.
Okay, all right.
So it sounds like
those kind of biographical kind of things. I prefer the miniseries format because that way you got more time to tell more stories and fill in more gaps of their lives. Like a 2-hour movie doesn't encapsulate a life of a person very well. They overlook a lot of stuff due to time.
So this is with Amazon Studios and Escape Artists. So makes me wonder if this wouldn't maybe go straight to maybe it goes straight to Netflix.
I'd watch it.
Well, yeah.
Ivan, what are your thinks? What are your thoughts on it?
What are my thoughts?
What do you think?
Well, certainly.
Let's shoot things.
I think I'd give it a look-see. Yeah.
By the way, that's the other thing I want to. Now that I have Netflix, I want to watch. Which is what is it? The thing he did on the trial of the Chicago 7. Isn't that a Netflix thing?
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing that.
Why can't Aaron Sorkin do? Why can't Aaron Sorkin do TV? Does he not love us anymore?
Who?
Aaron Sorkin.
Why doesn't Aaron Sorkin do TV anymore? Does he not love us?
I don't know. Maybe he's just taking a breather. He'll be back.
No, he won't. Because the Social Network did really, really well, and now he can do movies.
Oh, it's like that, huh?
Kinda. Well, he's been doing. In fairness, he has been spending a lot of time. He did Broadway. He did.
Good, successful Broadway.
Recently, yeah, it was. What's his name? Was it William Hurt? William Hurt was the star. He played Atticus Finch in a revival of To Kill a Mockingbird, and it was done by Aaron Sorkin. And I heard it was amazing.
Well, William Hurt, yeah, they got the right guy for it.
Oh wait, maybe it wasn't William Hurt. Was it Jeff Daniels? Jeff Daniels. Sorry.
Oh, it was Jeff Daniels. Jeff Daniels. Okay, even more so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They should have had Owen Wilson to play Atticus Finch.
Yeah, Jeff Daniels, man.
Not Owen Wilson.
No, but yeah.
Oh, Radley. Wow.
Pretty terrific, man. Yeah, good on Jeff.
I'm trying to. Well, we're speeding along in this show today.
Huh?
What? Huh?
I just wanted to go back to the bad pun.
Mm-hmm. Speedy.
Mm-hmm.
See?
All right, Mike, where do they find us?
We're not on Parler. We're not going there. We can't go there.
Maybe the next show because we're out of material. Yeah. But yeah,
we're on Instagram and Twitter at SOTRT Podcast. We're on YouTube. Click the bell, subscribe, and you know when to get new content. Of course, all these crazy stories we mentioned, some of them crazy, some of them not so crazy, are on our Squirrels Roundtable Facebook page. You can check us out there on the Facebooks. And that's where we have our other show, News of the Squared. And, of course, you can download this show on our usual podcast hosting platforms, Apple, Google, Spotify, Anchor. You can find Ivan on Twitch at Java and Ivan. Jeff is on YouTube and Facebook at Steinamite Productions. Email us at sotrtpodcast@gmail.com.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us once again on the Squares of the Roundtable podcast. We thank you so very much, and we will see you definitely sooner than later.